By the way, is it Stefan or Stefan?
I don't really mind, to be fair. I think I usually introduce myself as Stefan, but it's pronunciation, isn't it? I think as long as you spell it right, I don't really mind.
That's
And
right.
let's be honest, it's 2 syllables. So even though I introduce myself as Stefan, give it like, 20 minutes, especially over here, it's very, very quickly abbreviated to Steph. So
Steph,
I'm more than happy for you to call me Steph if you want. If you feel that we're at that stage in our relationship.
Cool.
Go
So,
wild.
Stef Murray, you are a professional MMA fighter, and of course, a lot of people know you in that Dara video. Now, before we talk about the Dara video, what was your MMA journey like? How did you decide to become an MMA fighter? I think these are all questions that many people are fascinated to ask fighters. Maybe they're not really asked the fighters because usually people are a little intimidated.
Yeah, it's the age-old question, isn't it? I think I started quite late in terms of MMA specific. So I did the cliche sort of. I started at a boxing gym, like the local boxing gym, when I was in my early teens. I probably was there fairly consistently for like, let's say, 2 years. 2 years at a push. I'm probably being quite polite there on myself. So probably, let's say, from 13 to 15-ish, until I discovered alcohol and girls, because I don't know how familiar you are with the British culture, but we like to start quite young over here. So as soon as it was like, let's get the beers in. So I think I kind of slipped away from boxing from there, and I didn't really come back to it properly until my early 20s. I'm 31 now, so probably like 22-ish. Decided to go back to the boxing gym. I think there was a lot of things going on in my life around that time, and I think I just needed some like stability and somewhere to, like, I don't want to say I was like angry. I'd like to think I'm always I've always been quite a chipper fella, but I think as I said before, like this idea of I was a lot more confrontational when I was younger. I think I had a bit of a chip on my shoulder, so I think a sense of direction where I could exert that excess testosterone was good for me. So I had a little brief stint as an amateur boxer. And I was terrible. I just wanted to fight, like, I don't think I really trained properly. I just wanted to like fight people. So I didn't do very well. And I don't know how into your boxing you are, but some people say that boxing can be quite corrupt, and I feel that the amateur boxing is equally so. It very much is like how popular the gym is that you train out of is a big factor. But you didn't hear it from me. So I probably did that for like a couple of years again. And then I just went on a bit of I really like traveling. So I'd be like traveling from place to place, and I'd do a little bit of training here and there, but you need to be consistent. So that, I think, gave me a big gap. I'm a coach as well. I'm a personal trainer, and I started training at a martial arts gym, mixed martial arts gym, probably when I was 26, we'll say 26. So I already I had my boxing background. I'd played around with a bit of jiu-jitsu. I'd played around with a bit of kickboxing. And I think fast forward to 2018, and I was competing in MMA. I just kind of like learn on the job, really. Like I definitely, by no stretch of the imagination, was I the best MMA fighter. I mean, I'm not now, but I definitely wasn't the best MMA fighter, and my grappling was pretty lame. I was definitely more of a striker, but I had like decent grappling defense. A lot of the guys that I trained with were like sick wrestlers and good grapplers, so I was just like, Steph's rule of jiu-jitsu: stand up. If in doubt, stand up, and that helped me get through probably my first handful of fights. Yeah, and then fast forward 2021, here we are, man. Here I am fighting YouTubers, aren't I?
um,
Superstar.
How long did it take you to go from like amateur MMA to professional MMA? I think that's another story that doesn't get told a lot, because a lot of times people don't know many people in the amateur circuit. By the time they know a fighter, he's already professional, right? So tell me more about that.
Honestly, because there's no governing body.
Mm-hmm.
You literally, you just say you're a professional.
Uh,
Like that is it. It's pretty maybe scary because I mean a lot of the you go to certain shows and you'll see guys and they'll be like of no gym. I don't know if that's a thing in the US as
yeah,
well. Where
sometimes there would be people, it's like no affiliation. You're always like, oh.
yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I think that to me is basically, to my understanding, is just someone who's like, go on, I'll give it a go. I'll give it a go. Fancy, I do all right down the pub. So yeah, or maybe sometimes I won't get into too much detail, but sometimes with people like that, I think, is it almost like is it like a type of self-harm almost,
Yeah, a little bit.
you know? Like I know people who are certainly mindful that competing in martial arts is potentially this weird, obscure method of self-harm, but obviously it's not direct, is it? So yeah. But anyway,
Yeah.
we don't need
No,
to.
it's a good point, and I think that's another thing to emphasize to people watching, is that anyone that thinks, oh yeah, I'll just kind of give it a little shot, be careful, do other things. If you want to
Yeah,
give it a little shot, I don't know, like something that involves, like, I would say go to a gymnastics gym or go to a parkour gym and like take a few classes. Then you can start like rolling and tumbling your body. I think that's better way of body abuse than
yeah.
like getting punched in the face.
Or if you insist on being punched in the face, then just go to a martial arts gym.
Yeah,
And then
that's
you can feed that desire for pain, or whatever the desire is,
yeah,
and learn something, hopefully.
yeah, yeah,
If they're able to kind of put their ego, and then they might find there's this whole window of opportunity of things that they didn't even realize.
yeah,
Because I think that was the thing for me. I think that it was this idea of, as I say, when I was younger, with hindsight, this kind of like this idea of this bit of a chip on my shoulder, um, and then I realised I'm quite a soft person. Like I've got like a tough. I don't even know if I really do have a tough exterior, but like this
definitely,
tough
definitely. The topic is
exterior.
very relevant.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like tough exterior of like I'm a fighter and and stuff, but um, it enables you to have a softer side, or at least it
yeah,
did for me anyway. I feel like,
mhm,
well, I know I'm tough, and people know I'm tough, and I will fuck you up if you're a dick, but I actually don't have to, because I can just be nice to people, and people won't have this sense of wanting to take advantage of me. They'll just, if I don't know, maybe they're relieved. I don't know. I have
mhm.
to ask them. But yeah, the
Yeah.
transition, sorry, full
Oh,
circle,
it's happening.
tangents. You literally just say you want to go pro, and that's that.
Mhm. Yeah,
And then you
I see.
change to 5 minutes. You wear the small gloves. You're allowed to get elbowed in the head, kneed in the head.
Wow.
Obviously, the submissions and that.
That's so
Um,
interesting.
yeah,
I believe in, for viewers that watch this, I believe in America it's a little more strict. Like I think to
right.
go pro, they probably have to filter. They have to be like, oh well, how many amateur fights have you had? I believe it's
Right.
like that because in the amateur circuit, you definitely get a
Which
lot
is
of
good.
people. Yeah, which is very good. In the amateur circuit, you definitely get what sorry, I just called you Dar. So what Steph and I were talking about with people that like they haven't had really formal training. Like in the amateur circuit it happens, but in the pro it really doesn't happen. But that's because I think the sport of MMA is just a little bigger in the United States than maybe it
Yeah,
is in Europe.
I think
Yeah.
that's fair. I think that's fair. And the thing is, as well, it's big, but it's also incredibly new and young, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
And I think with things like that, it really shows.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, I'd
exactly.
be very surprised if things don't change in the next few years, as you said, because it is getting so damn big and so popular.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Even most recently, this is my tangent for today. Even most recently in bare knuckle boxing, some guy died from like
yeah,
yeah. So,
heard
before
that.
everyone was saying bare knuckles safer, which I think normally it is because you can't wildly swing, you'll break your own hand, but still, the fact that someone died in bare knuckle, I think that'll change up people's perceptions and might add more rules or something like that.
It's hard to say, innit, man? And obviously, I don't want to take anything away from when things like that happen, but um, it's you can't go swimming without getting wet, can you?
Yeah, exactly.
Play with fire and all those other things. Yeah, it's a mad one, and
It
I
is.
have moments where I'm like, you're like, are you about this? Because it's real.
Yeah.
You're really putting your life at risk,
Yeah.
to some degree. So
Yeah.
I just love it. It's mad. I don't know what it is, and I think a lot of people will say that as well when they get to know me a bit more, is they find it fascinating because of the fairly, I don't say mild mannered. I like to think I'm quite an extrovert. I don't think mild mannered's the right thing, but um, you know, I don't know if I said that this idea of fitting that stereotypical, like, oh yeah, this YouTube bum, like wants, like, thinks he can be a fighter in 30 days. Like, I'll show him. I have no
So
intention of you know hurting people to make to massage my own ego.
yeah.
But if you want to do it in a competitive environment, then absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect segue to let's talk about the Dara match. How did it
Yeah.
happen?
How did it happen? He just messaged the he or his agent or whoever they are, just got in touch with the gym,
Mm-hmm.
gave the concept that he wanted to do the whole, um 0 days, for no previous experience, 30 days of training, um fight an MMA fighter. That was kind of the overview. So they had a look around the gym. Our gym felt I was a good candidate for that. They asked me whether I wanted to do it. I was a bit confused, you know, but I was just, you just kind of like say, yeah, sure, why not? It was during like the whole lockdown thing too, so I think at that point in time, I was just happy to. I was just like, yeah, cool, whatever gets me out of the mundane. Um, Sat down with Dara, and he surprised me. He was a pleasant surprise. Like he's a really really nice guy. Definitely at the time, which is totally understandable. Very very ignorant to what he was getting himself into.
Yeah.
Very very ignorant. Like, just like obviously he gave his spiel as to what he wanted, and I was like, yep, like, that's fine. And asking him just even questions such as, so how choreographed do you want it to be? And he was like, oh no, I want it to be like really authentic. I want it to be really authentic. I want it to be like, and I was like, right, you say that, and I don't want to sound like, you know, Mr. Tough Guy, but like, have you ever been kicked like in the leg before? Like, never mind the head, but like, have you been kicked hard in the leg before? I was like, because if we want to make it authentic, what about if I just like, one leg kick and then like a head kick and then that's it? Like, do you want it to be that authentic? Like, do you want to wear shin guards? What size gloves do you want to wear? How long do you want the rounds to be? And he was like, "Oh yeah, that's true." And I was like, obviously, you don't need to answer it now, but it's like, have a think about it, because getting kicked in the head with the shin sucks. So have a think about it. And he was kind of talking about this idea of maybe if we could make it a bit more striking based, because obviously if it goes to the ground, he doesn't stand a chance. And my coach kind of piped up and was like, dude, like, you're not gonna have a chance on the feet. Like, what, like, I think that's the thing with maybe more like guys than girls, is this idea of like, oh yeah, like striking's easier, isn't it? Striking's easier. Um, so he went away and had a little think about it, and I think honestly he was toing and froing literally up until the day of like whether he wanted to wear shin guards or not. Just like the little details, and you could tell like that. He's a YouTuber, so he's a performer. It's important for him in his job, as I'm sure you know, that it needs to look good, doesn't it? It needs to look good. So I remember literally on the day, you could tell in his heart of hearts, like, there was just that little part of him that wanted to be like, shall we do no shinnies because it'll just look better. And I was like, dude, just wear the shin pads, man. Like, you know it's the right thing to do. Let's just wear the shin pads. It's not a big deal. We'll wear the domed gloves. We'll wear the shin pads. I think it's the right thing to do. And it was. Yeah, you're still going to get beat up, man. You're still going to get beat up. I'll make sure, and again, we kind of went over this whole, like, how much do you want to lay it? How much do you want me to lay it on you, kind of thing. And as you saw it, it was pretty chilled. It was pretty chilled. I had my my little bursts, but it was pretty chilled. That in itself was an interesting thing. That in itself was mad, because trying to, like I said, find that balance between making it entertaining, not wanting to hurt the guy too much, but making a statement, like I say, without being a dick. And I had to catch myself sometimes in like my little flurries, and I had to actively be like, chill out. Remember, this is just an exhibition. It's just a spar, essentially. And those few little moments, where you have to, like, tell that hardwired brain to be like, whoa, steady now. So yeah, that was it. It was incredibly random. That's what it was. It was incredibly random. He messes the gym. We said yeah. There was a few moments, throughout the 30 days where we were like, why are we doing this? But we did, and I enjoyed myself. And Dara's a really good guy, so I've got my little pen pal for life with our Dara. So yeah.
It's funny because I saw that when the fight started, you already had a bruise on your left cheek, right? So it sounded like you either had a fight before that or you had some hard sparring before that, because that bruise on your left cheek was very noticeable. So tell me about that.
Yeah, I think I mean, specifically, I can't remember. Like, my face constantly has marks on it. But I think maybe a week later, so a week after the fight with Dara, I went into a fight camp. Like, I went into an official fight camp because I had a fight scheduled. So I was probably already training pretty hard, having some hard spars with some good guys. And like I said, you play with fire and all that. And I probably just got caught by somebody. Like I say, I genuinely, I don't even know. Like, my missus is the same. She doesn't even ask anymore.
And that's actually a good segue too. So you're married.
Yeah.
How does that? Because I was telling you about how I was watching my coach in the ring, and it was really painful to watch him get hit. So does your wife go with you to competitions and stuff, or does she not go with you to competitions?
She does. She does come, and she hates it. So I explicitly tell her that she's under no obligation, and if she wants to stay at home, then she can. That's absolutely fine. She unfortunately has seen me get knocked out before. Yeah, like I was knocked out 3 fights ago, I think it was. 3 fights ago I was knocked out. 4 if you include Dara's fight. And she had to witness that, unfortunately. And she wasn't about it, obviously. Yeah, she's not a fan. She's not a fan, but she respects. She respects that. That's what I do, and that I'm very, very passionate about it. So she's a good woman, and she kind of keeps her mouth. I don't mean to sound derogatory there. I just mean that, like, she respects that I love it. That she respects that I'm passionate about it, just as I do with things that she's passionate about. And you just go, you know what? When he's had, because, like, her mum, for example, my mother-in-law isn't like that, and she's like straight, very straight down the middle. Don't like you doing it, don't do it. And I just have to very, passively find a way to skirt around that conversation. But yeah, my lovely wife is she's like, don't like it, but I accept it.
Yeah.
So So yeah, she's not about it at all. She's not about watching me engage in violence, which I totally get.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Does she ever train with you or train?
Nah, no, she's not about. Nah, she's not. She likes her fitness. She enjoys her fitness, but we barely even do like regular training together. We kind of keep that part of our lives separate.
Yeah, makes sense.
Which is fine. I think because like I said, because I'm a coach and that. So maybe in the earlier days, I might have been like, oh, let's do like a training session together. But she's not about it. I don't think she likes me telling her what to do. So.
Oh, yeah.
Dare I make assumptions? Dare I make assumptions?
It's one of the reasons why it's hard to train family members in general, right? It's
Yeah,
just like, exactly. Wow.
You have to respect the sort of hierarchy, if you will, don't you?
Yeah.
So in that environment, I am the superior.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't think she's about it, which is fine. That's cool. And that just means that gym time is my time.
Yeah.
And vice versa, those times that we spend doing that is me time. It enables me to be incredibly selfish, and which is great. I think it's very healthy.
Yeah, exactly. So, what's next in store for you? Do you think you'll take any more YouTuber challenges, or you think one's enough?
I mean, yeah, sure, why not? It's entertaining, isn't it? We're in the entertainment business, Jerry, aren't we? So,
Yeah.
so yeah, sure, why not? I'm more than happy to to slap about a YouTuber. More than happy to do that. So, YouTubers, if you would like to engage in combat, let us know. The reason I was nice to Dara is because he's a nice guy and he was very respectful. And obviously, he did his little he did his little smack talk and that. And I don't want to give, I don't want to disillusion people, but let's just say like we're mates, So the fight was legit. And the fight wasn't, heavily choreographed, and I definitely was hitting him, and he was definitely trying to hit me, but yeah, it was all, it's not like behind the scenes stuff. It's smoke and mirrors, and so it was very hard to take the guy seriously when he was doing his trash talk, because I was just like, bless him. He's not an intimidating guy, is he? I hope he doesn't mind me saying that. I think he knows that he's not an intimidating guy, so it's hard to feel threatened by by someone like that. So, YouTube folk, trash talk away. And yeah, I'd be up for that. It's good fun. It's good fun. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. It's borderline disrespectful, if I'm being honest. Like obviously with the obvious candidates, the obvious influencers. We don't need to give them any airtime,
Exactly.
do we?
Last names rhymes with Saul, basically.
Yeah. So yeah, the infamous influencers, I'm not massively a massive advocate for that, just because I feel like it kind of tarnishes martial arts, and obviously more specifically boxing.
Yeah.
I think that there's men and women out there who literally dedicate their lives, literally, and they're not getting that kind of press.
Yeah.
So I think to that degree, but for a bit of a laugh and a joke, and obviously if you want to give me, if you want to throw a few pounds or dollars my way, then yeah, man, I'll have to get paid to slap a YouTuber about. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
I will even do it with the the ones who do not need the airtime. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Wow. And I think Steph mentioned something very important, which is that fighters have to also be entertainers, right? And that's one of the things that I think a lot of times casual fans or even dedicated hardcore fans forget. It's like sometimes the smack talking, all the craziness, it's like it's not choreographed, but there is like at the back of mind, it's like, okay, yeah, we're doing it mostly for the press. And I think fans need to remember that, because sometimes I look at the fan just like trolling or just insulting their rival fighters on their page. So I'm like, guys, take it less seriously. Come on, like, don't upset your own heart, like caring about a rivalry.
I know. Don't give yourself a nosebleed, man. Like, chill out. But that's trolls for you, innit?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So, you know, it says more about them than it does about anything else.
Yeah,
People, it's the irony in it. Like, it just shows that people can be very passionate when they want to be. People can be very opinionated when they want to be. But are they either of those two things when it actually matters? When it's something that can actually be quite life changing, when it's things that actually directly impact our lives rather than your favorite MMA fighter.
yeah.
It's the same with like football, you know, like with soccer over here, it's the same thing. It's like, guys, could you imagine? Could you imagine if you all banded together the way that you do against watching your local football team?
Yeah.
The things we could do.
Yeah. The
The
things we
things
could
we...
do.
But yeah, it is, man. It's entertainment, and
Mhm.
as much as I'm not really much of a trash talker, you know, it's very, very important to make sure that um, you play your cards. You know, play your cards and respect the game. You know, so that goes with the entertainment factor, and also making sure that you got to please people, and hopefully that isn't interpreted as like kissing ass, or you know, you've got to make sure that the promoter's on your side. You know, so even if that isn't trash talking, that's like be likable, be personable,
Yeah.
you know, it's that cliche and like speak to people how you want to be treated and that. So I always do my best to make sure, on depending on what promotion I'm on, um you know, show gratitude, and it pays off. And as cliche as it sounds, like,
Yeah.
take fights. I think that's the big thing for me in MMA. I just hope it doesn't turn into what boxing is, you know, it turns a bit cherry picking. Like,
Yeah.
my record, I don't feel, in my humble opinion, isn't a fair representation of me as a fighter. As I said earlier, I don't think I'm not the best MMA fighter by any stretch of the imagination, but the guys who I've fought and I've lost against have been legit guys.
Mhm.
You know, like, um, top two guys. So I've 4-4. The four guys that I lost against, two of them were number one in the UK at the time. One of them was top five, and the other one had like nearly 20 fights. So he was like a bit of a, you know, like a seasoned opponent. Um, so, you know, it's kind of like, yeah, I'll fight them. And I like to think and I hope that that's how I'm perceived, you know, on the circuit, if you will, is that despite the record not being this clean, you know, like 8-0 or whatever, that people who actually value their opinion, they go like, yeah, but Steph will just fight anybody. So, you know, and don't get me wrong, I want to win. And I think we say this quite a lot, like a true fighter, like a true fighting man, will accept any fight because they truly believe that they can and will win. And you have to believe that. You have to be your own best cheerleader. Um, and sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. You
Mhm.
know? And that's I think it was like my first loss. My first loss, I was 3-0, and I had an opponent, and my opponent pulled out, as they do sometimes. And this other guy's opponent pulled out, and he was number one in the UK in the weight division above, and it was a title fight. And they were like, Steph, we get that it's short notice, we get that it's a weight division above, but if you fancy it. And I was like, ooh, some serious risk versus reward, man. And I was like, you know what? Let's do it. What's the worst that can happen? You know, obviously we've spoken about the very bad things, but in my head, I was like, the worst that can happen is I lose against the guy who I'm expected to lose against anyway. So who cares? And it makes me look good. It makes me look tough. you know, which I think at the time, maybe with hindsight, I was still sort of getting my head around that. And I showed everyone I was tough. I showed everyone that I didn't care who was in the cage. And I gave him a run for his money and then lost him. And I was fine. I was in full health and back training probably like within a couple of weeks. So yeah, I feel that's, you know, I'm heavily biased, but I think that's the best approach.
That's actually a really good question to ask about weight classes too, because, for example, in the U.S., right, most people have to cut a lot of weight. In one championship, I know they don't like the water cut, so they tell people to not cut water, right? So like the weight classes are a little different based on what weight class you're fighting. You're fighting a different size person. What is it like in Europe? Like, do people have to cut a lot of water weight? Because, you know, I walk around at like 150, and if I were to fight, I'd probably go down to like 125 or something, because like
Yeah,
I cannot fight people who are 155 fighting, because they'd be like
yeah,
180, 190 come down. Is that the case in Europe?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. It's the same. Yeah, it's the same. It sucks. Um, I I don't cut that much.
mm-hmm,
I think I do my water cut and that's it.
mm-hmm.
So I literally just do the water cut. So I walk around at probably one, I probably say like just under 160.
Mm-hmm.
Probably walk around just under 160, and I cut down to 145. And I just do the water cut.
I see.
I tell a lie. I tell a lie. No, I don't tell a lie. I do. I do. I'm very lean, even in like, you know, off season, if you will. So I remember there was a point where so I competed at feather, and I remember there was a time where I was like, oh, so I cut down to bantam, the one below 135. But I just think it would have a detrimental impact on my performance and my health, obviously. Um, Whether that's long term or even just the short term. So um, yes, people do the water cuts. People do crazy water cuts. I know a guy that I train with. He must walk around at 180 and gets down to 145, and it's not pretty. And it's not like he's fat, you know, like he's not as lean as me, but he's, you know, he's fit, you know, all round, like, you know, throughout the year, periodically, he's a fit guy. He's always, you know, like fight ready kind of thing. Mad. Don't get it. I think for me, I'd have to lose. I'd have to compromise muscle mass, I reckon. At the minute, it's just a case of dehydrating my muscles due to being very lean. In the grand scheme of things, I find it quite easy to do the water cut. Um, but it's not fun. And like I say, I do, you know, 10, 10 to 15 pounds of water in I think 5 or 6 days. And yeah, that's what people do, and some people do more. Some
Right.
people do more. I know guys that cut even more. It's mad, yeah. And I don't get it, and I don't necessarily agree with it. But it's that kind of cliche, like, well, everyone does it. So, like I said, when I went up a weight division, so I fought at my natural weight, but he'd done a weight cut. So when we got in the cage, he was massive, and I felt it.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So, so yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing over here too, unfortunately.
Is there any kind of movement or something to kind of change up the way people cut weight or anything like that? Because it just feels like this is like a race to the bottom. You know, if everyone has to cut weight to fight people that are equal in size, why not just everyone agree not to cut weight to fight? You know, so
Exactly,
right.
exactly right. Mate, honestly, man, Jerry, the amount of times I've said that where I'm like, isn't it mad that we all cut weight, but then I imagine on the night we probably all weigh the same, or, you know, give or take a pound or two. Um, Maybe there should be a movement.
Yeah.
Maybe there should. I mean, like you said about one, you know, I think that's the right idea. It's, you know, for longevity, for the health of the fighters, who fundamentally, that's what's most important. You know, without them, there is no show,
Yeah.
there is no entertainment. So yeah, look after them. pay him well, look after him. And I think, as you said, yeah, like maybe there should be. To my knowledge, there isn't. I think everyone's very passive. I mean, myself included, clearly. We're just like, oh, it's just what we do, innit? It's just what we do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you make a fair point. Maybe that
Mhm.
should change, and maybe something needs to be done about it. Maybe that should be me. Maybe I should be the ambassador.
Yeah.
Bam,
Yeah.
Stef Murray. From now, here we go. No more weight cut. No more water cuts.
Yeah, yeah. The reason this kind of this point really kind of I feel passionate about is one of the other fighters I interview on my channel. Will. He's a Canadian Muay Thai fighter. He did the same thing you did. He this time did not cut weight, so he went up in weight class. And the guy who fought, it was exactly the same experience. He's like, dude, like I couldn't move him. Like I punched him
Yeah,
hard and I moved myself. Like that's how I felt. And like in the fight, it looked like he was fighting a guy 6 weight classes above him.
yeah.
And it's like I'm like that's not healthy for my buddy Will because he lost the fight. He got he got punched pretty badly, and it's not healthy for the guy he's fighting in the long term because that guy's doing so much damage to his body going down so many weight classes.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So
That's the fight game.
yeah,
It's a mad one.
yeah,
It's a mad one.
yeah. Wow. And I think the last question I have for you, Steph, is what is the fight circuit like in UK or Europe in general? Is there a lot of smaller promotions? Is there one big promotion like UFC? Tell me more about that because I'm not that familiar.
So there's a lot of small promotions. There's a lot of regional. So generally, like the UK, for example, is kind of we're divided into like the northwest, the northeast, the Midlands, the southeast, and the southwest. So although we do get, and obviously Ireland as well, Ireland and Scotland and Wales, they're right there, aren't they? So they obviously get involved too, and so is Europe, so is mainland Europe. To be fair, but certainly in terms of the smaller promotions, there's loads of them, and I generally only compete regionally at the moment, and that's obviously that's within, let's say, like 80-mile radius, should we say? Let's say that because it's a small ass country, man. So I'm sure to you that man, it's probably like up the road, but that covers quite a large surface area. So yeah, there's lots of the smaller promotions, and they seem to be sort of like gradually growing to my best, and you can definitely see there's levels as well. There's certain smaller promotions where you're like, it's a joke. Like you can tell, like people will probably go on there to buffer up the record a little bit with a safe guarantee that they're probably going to get the win. And then there's larger ones too. Um, I mean, you guys have Bellator, right? Like Bellator, because like Bellator's big over here, or at least in Europe. Um, I feel there's one I think it's called Octagon, but they've changed the C to a K.
Mm.
And I feel like they're kind of Scandinavian if my memory serves me correctly. And you get like the classic ones like Cage Warriors is really big over here too. Cage Warriors is massive, and obviously they're affiliated. I believe they have affiliations with UFC, because I feel like that's kind of like what I would like. I mean, obviously there's the fairy tale of um, the UFC and that. I don't know how true to life that fairy tale is, that fairy tale dream, but I'd be happy with like Cage Warriors if I could get like a contract with Cage Warriors. That'd be pretty sick. There's quite a lot of guys. There's a few guys I know on the circuit who are on Bellator who have recently signed contracts with Bellator, which again is very very cool and is great for them. Really really good for them. That for me, I'd be happy with that. I'd be more than happy with that. As I say, I'm not entirely sure. The more you actually look at it, UFC they've just got a really good business model, haven't they? They've got a fantastic business model, and it works, and they've become I don't know whether you can say they've monopolized it, but everyone goes. I mean, they're like Vaseline. They're like Google, aren't they? Like Google is a search engine, but we go, I'll Google it. I feel like that's what the UFC is. You know, people go like, oh, you know, like if people are super new, they're like, oh, do you do UFC? Not do you do MMA? They say, do you do UFC? So, but I don't know how true the hype, unless you're one of the big boys, is of being on UFC. I've heard many people who actually say they get paid better on Bellator. So
Yeah. Yeah.
don't shoot the messenger, man. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling
Yeah.
you what I've heard.
I'll once we stop recording, I'll tell you something really cool that potentially. But yeah, for viewers, I think this is a good stopping point for us. Stef's first interview on Fight Commentary Breakdowns, and I'm gonna show Stef the dojo also. So I might put all of this on YouTube, or put some of this on YouTube and some of this on the dojo, or maybe I'll give this to Stef so he can put it on the dojo. We'll see, or he'll put it on his YouTube channel. We'll figure it out. But either way, hopefully, eventually, when you search Stef Murray, you'll see this interview on YouTube and on the dojo. So, Stef,
I'm
man,
gonna be a star. I'm gonna be a star, and it's all thanks to you, Jerry.
that's right. We gotta thank Dara, man. Dara
Oh,
got
thanks
you
to
on his
Dara.
channel first, and then we'll just
Cheers,
keep
Dara.
building. We'll keep building this awesome guy named Stef, man. Yeah, cheers, Dara. Thank you for helping me connect with Stef. I was like, I usually don't reach out to MMA fighters, right? Because even me, I'm like, I know they got their boundaries, but you seem like such a nice guy. That's why I just reached out to you directly on Instagram, and I was like, because
I
Dara
appreciate it.
like showed that you're a very gentle person. Like,
Yeah.
I honestly, I was like, because I've been hurt by an MMA fighter before, and I wasn't even challenging him. He wanted to do jujitsu with me, and he said, I'll go gentle, and he didn't go gentle on me, and he hurt me. And so, like, I had a experience that wasn't the same as Dara's, but I was like, that's why when I was commentating, I was like, wow, like, Stef could have really hurt Dara, because, like,
Yeah.
Dara challenged you, right? My situation, he wanted to roll with me because, oh, this is a cool YouTuber, I want to roll with him, and he still hurt me, even though he said he would go soft. But like in your situation, like, he challenged you. I was like, wow, like if it were that guy would have knocked out Dara. So I'm like, we got to promote people like Stef and not those people
Yeah,
that.
man. Sounds like your guy needs a slap.
Yeah.
I'll
To
fight him. There you go. I'll fight him.
Dara's credit, he lost his next MMA fight pretty bad. So I was like,
Right.
okay, whatever. So but like you said, yeah, maybe he needs more of a slap than that, because that might not. He would have lost that fight anyways, right? He needs an extra slap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ego, man. That's,
Yeah.
people need to. I mean, like I said, like the whole point of martial arts is to keep yourself in check, innit?
Yeah.
Not to be going around being a bully.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And the way he hurt me was pretty cheating too, because we were grappling and then he kicks my leg out. Like, he wasn't grappling, he kicked my leg out. So you striked me. Kind of. You kind of strike me. I mean, I get it, he was trying to tripod sweep me, but he kicked. He
Yeah.
kicked. He kicked my leg out. So whatever. It's in the past, but and
We're
because of
not
that,
better.
I learned to make my neck
We're not
stronger.
better.
So yeah, exactly. But yeah, dude,
Don't follow
guys.
judges.
Yeah, and also, like, get better at jiu-jitsu, which is my weakness too. So I need to keep doing jiu-jitsu classes. Yeah, guys, this is Stef, man. I will link his Instagram and stuff like that, and we'll put all the links. Stef, thank you so much.
Cheers, Joe. Thank you.